From the outside looking in, my life looks like a string of failures. Marriages that ended, a business that closed, periods of being homeless, being betrayed by almost everybody, periods of having nothing, starting over more times than most people would ever attempt. But here's the thing about failure that nobody tells you. Wins can be disguised as losses. Every single thing that did not work in my life taught me something that the thing that did work never could. And the moment I stopped calling it failure and started calling it training, everything changed. Welcome back to the blueprint on how to live your best life. This is rule number 5. Alex Hormozi's 5th rule for staying poor: fail once, quit forever. This one is about the relationship most people have with failure. Like, the universe has spoken, and the answer is no. One loss means the game is over. What Hormozi was really describing is the mentality of someone who lets a single setback become a permanent identity. The person who tried a business once, it didn't work, and now says, I'm not a business person. The person who had a bad relationship and closed themselves off entirely. The person who got knocked down once and decided it meant they were never meant to stand. I want to reframe that today. Failure is not a verdict. Failure is a notification. The universe is not saying no, it's saying not this way. Go a different direction. Something better is coming and more aligned for you. Keep moving. And I know this not just from theory, I know this from standing in the own rubble of my own life more than once and choosing to keep building anyways. I want to tell you about the night I had a gun pointed to my face. But first, I need to tell you what led up to it, because this story is not about someone who quits easily. This is about someone who refused to quit when the universe kept sending signals. While I was still living in South Korea, I had started building a travel app, and I found a developer in England, and I paid him about $2,000 to get it started. And we worked together for about 5 weeks. Then he took the money and disappeared. Most people would have called it the end, and I didn't. I came back to the US still committed to the vision. I moved to Austin, Texas, a tech city, thinking that I could find another partner to help me build this app. I had already been burned once, and I was still moving. After a month of bouncing around between hostels and Airbnb rooms, I finally got approved for an apartment. I had a foundation. I was starting to build. My first night there, I came home from work at midnight, I locked the door, and I went to my room and I started to inflate my air mattress. Then I heard a loud bang at the door. I hadn't met my roommate yet. I thought she was sleeping. I didn't know anyone in the city, and the banging kept going. And then there was a voice at my window saying, "She's inside, open the door, B." And I was like, if you live here, why don't you open the door? And they said, you locked us out. So I accidentally locked them out from the inside. A neighbor had already called the police. When the officers arrived, they had put a gun in my face. They told me to turn around, get on my knees, and put my hands behind my back. I was handcuffed and taken outside on my first night in a city I had moved to alone for a dream, with everything on the line. It was all eventually sorted out. It was a misunderstanding. There was no charges, no harm. But the next morning I packed my bags and I left Austin. I had already paid the deposit and a full month's rent, and that decision hit my credit. From the outside, it looked like another failure, another collapse. But I knew in my body that the universe had been sending me smaller notifications the whole time I was in Austin, and I had been ignoring every single one. That bang at the door was the final one, loud enough that I could not miss it. I came back to Houston, I slept on a friend's sofa, and I started over. And that redirection led me to building my cleaning business, the business that I've been running for the last 10 years and has made 6 figures after the first year, every single year. What looked like failure was a forced win. Here's the truth I've come to live by. It is not a failure unless I'm dead, and I'm not dead. The only time I have ever fully stopped something is when I understood with clarity that the universe was rerouting me, not punishing me. There is a big difference between quitting because you are scared and stopping because you are being redirected. Learning to tell those two apart is one of the most important skills you will ever develop. Now I want to go somewhere deeper, because the real cost of quitting after failure is not just financial, it's energetic, and it can literally cost you your life. I have watched people fail at something, a business, a marriage, a dream, and let that failure become something they carry in their body like poison, resentment, bitterness, shame, the energy of a wound they refuse to let heal. I have a friend who lost her marriage to a man who went out into the streets and did whatever he wanted. And instead of moving on, instead of redirecting, she let that betrayal eat her alive. She never dated again. She never healed. She held that resentment so tightly that it created disease in her body, and she lost her life to cancer. Now, I'm not saying that her illness was caused by her divorce, but I'm saying that what you hold in your body has consequences when you don't always connect the source. I was listening to a podcast recently where a woman was going through a divorce and directing enormous negativity towards her ex-husband, wishing him harm, holding on to every grievance. And the host asked her, "How's your son doing?" And the answer was, "Not well." Because the energy you intend for someone else does not always reach them. It reaches whoever is closest to you, including yourself. This is why letting go of failure is not weakness, it's self-preservation. The most expensive thing about quitting is not the lost opportunity. It is carrying the weight around rent-free. I want to tell you about a friend I met on an audio app called Clubhouse. We were both in the cleaning business, so we started a club together. And when it was her turn to speak for the first time, her voice was shaking, audibly shaking, and she talked anyway. She had built a cleaning business after spending 2 years in jail for selling drugs. She came out of incarceration thinking about going back into the life she had known, and then she made a decision. She was going to build something that did not require her to be afraid of getting a background check, something that was hers, something no one could take. Her voice shook, and she did it anyways. Today, she has over 25,000 subscribers on her YouTube, a consulting business, and a personal brand that keeps growing. Every time someone gives her a correction, she improves it and immediately moves forward. No hesitation, no ego, only the next step. She did not fail once and quit. She failed in ways most of us will never face, and she used every single one of those failures as fuel. Your failure is not your verdict, it's your origin story. This rule applies to every area of your life. In your finances, the investment that didn't work, the business that closed, the money that you lost, every one of those experiences is teaching you how money actually moves and who you are under financial pressure. You cannot buy that kind of education. You can only earn it. In your health, the diet that didn't stick, the routine you abandoned, those are not failures. They are data. Your body is telling you what doesn't work. You should listen to it. In your relationships, every relationship that ended is teaching you more about what you need, what you will not accept, and what real alignment feels like. You are not broken because it didn't last. You are better calibrated. In your purpose, every wrong direction has been narrowing the path towards the right one. Every closed door is pointing you toward an open one you would not have found otherwise. The question is never, did I fail? The question is, what did this failure train me for? My wedding dress business closed after 2 years. It taught me I needed a business that could run without me, so I could travel, so I could be free. My time in Austin ended after one night with a gun in my face. It sent me back to Houston, where the real business was waiting. My marriages ended in pain, and I'm still rebuilding from it. They taught me that my intuition was right all along and that I will never ignore it to make someone else feel comfortable. None of that was failure. It was all training. They called me the master. And the proof is that I am still here, still building, still standing. And if you are in the middle of something that feels like failure right now, I need you to hear this. You are not at the end. You are just in the training. The people who come out of the other side are not the ones who never fell. They are the ones who get knocked down 9 times and get up 10. Get up. This is the blueprint on living your best life. 28 rules, one life at a time. Drop a comment below. What is the failure in your life that turned out to be the best redirection? I want to hear it. You're not alone. I read every single one. If this episode hit, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss rule number 6. I'm Mila. Let's wake up. Let's go.